Once, in a valley shadowed by towering peaks, lived a man named Silas. Life had dealt Silas a difficult hand, leaving him in a deep, dark pit of his own making. In this pit, his most prized possession was a well-worn shovel. He'd owned it for as long as he could remember, its wooden handle smooth from countless hours of use, its steel blade gleaming even in the dim light of his subterranean world. Silas was incredibly fond of his shovel. It was the one constant in his ever-darkening existence, a familiar weight in his hands that offered a strange comfort. Whenever despair threatened to overwhelm him, he'd clutch the shovel tighter and begin to dig. He'd dig sideways, he'd dig downwards, he'd dig simply for the sake of digging. Each scoop of earth seemed to momentarily alleviate his distress, and he believed, deep down, that if he just kept digging, he'd eventually find his way out. But with every shovelful, his hole grew deeper, and the faint light from above became an ever more distant memory. He'd often look up, yearning for the sun, but then he'd glance at his trusty shovel and tell himself that his salvation lay in more digging. One day, after a particularly vigorous bout of excavation, Silas paused, leaning heavily on his shovel. His muscles ached, his breath came in ragged gasps, and the air in the pit felt thick and stale. He looked up, and for the first time, truly saw the immense distance between himself and the world above. The realization hit him with the force of a falling rock. His shovel, his beloved tool, was not helping him ascend, it was dragging him further down. Every instinct screamed at him to dig, but his current reality proved otherwise. He dropped the shovel with a clatter that echoed in the confined space. It lay there, a symbol of his futile efforts. As he stared at it, a new thought, fragile yet persistent, began to form. What if the solution wasn't about digging at all? He scanned the walls of his deep prison, and then his eyes caught on something. A small, sturdy ladder leaning precariously against a crevice, almost hidden by the shadows. It had been there all along, unnoticed, because he was too focused on the shovel. With a newfound determination, Silas reached for the ladder. It was heavy, and climbing it was difficult, but with each rung, he felt a surge of hope. He still had a long way to go, but he was no longer digging himself deeper. He was finally, truly, moving upward. The moral of the story is that sometimes, the very things we cling to for comfort or familiarity are precisely what keep us from improving our situation. To truly ascend, we must be willing to let go of what is holding us back and seek new tools for progress. Do you have something in your life that feels like Silas's shovel?